from Korok. We had it all the first 2 days, but now if we forget all that, we kind of put it aside, Blitz, and we move forward into the playoffs. It's going to be a much easier road for the Alliance. They are sort of the final bosses here. The format is such that they are already seeded directly into the grand finals. We'll take a look at our brackets. For LGD China, they're guaranteed to be in that semifinal match. Even if they lose that match, they're guaranteed a top 3 placement. Orange, DK, no matter what, one of them will finish 4th, so they are in the money in that sense. But obviously, you want to go deep. It's going to be a very interesting day. We'll have 3 best-of-3s coming up one after another, and we start it with Orange versus DK.
Yes, and actually this is a match I'm really looking forward to. DK started off really, really weak in the beginning, and Orange actually played really well. They started the day yesterday 2-0, and then they had a bit of a misstep, but I mean they played against some pretty hot teams. And I think, though, if I had to make a prediction of my own, I think Orange takes this, actually.
I actually have to go completely the opposite way. Just
Really?
because I agree Orange has the skill. I agree with what you said yesterday, where you feel like Orange might be the better matchup versus LGD and Alliance, but I don't think they match up well against DK. They're a high-risk, high-reward style, sometimes over-aggressive, and DK is a team that it seems like they're mostly relying on their opponents to make mistakes to take games. And Orange is as good of a team as they are. They're one of the teams in this tournament that will make mistakes. So I actually feel like if anyone has the advantage, it's going to be DK in this matchup. Maybe they don't go as far, though. But with that being said, if Orange can get past them, I think they've got a slightly better shot to move through the playoffs. So, well, we all have our opinions. Let's see what our casters think. Gods, Luminous, your thoughts on what we've seen so far, what's coming up for this $65,000 tournament. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, I should now. First place is $40,000. Second place, only $13,000. So getting to the grand finals, that's great. But the Alliance, they're not done yet. Gods, Lumi.
Well, I think the biggest surprise for looking back the last few days is IG. They bottomed out, didn't make it to the playoffs. That was the shock to everyone, the shock to the world. They lost to Alliance in that final match, but by then people weren't really expecting much from them. They just crashed out from the start. They lost to Liquid, got embarrassed by Liquid by a Wisp CK plus Slark, and here we are in the playoffs with no IG, no Liquid, which I guess to most people is somewhat expected, but no IG.
No IG, that's the big one. Although, I guess I've seen some people say on Twitter, this is their kick in the butt so that they could win TI3. I'm not sure whether that will happen, but they're done. They're done from now. Let's not talk too much about it.
It's the same thing as last G1 League. They got completely dominated at the LAN finals. They got 2-0'd by LGD, and then in the third place match, they lost to Orange 2-1. Then they bounced back, won TI2.
Right. I mean, to be fair, there's very little expectation of the previous IG compared to the IG now. Maybe they succumb a little bit to that. Who knows? But again, they're out of the tournament. The matchup of the day right now, it's a little bit more important. So you're a fan of IG. You're a bigger fan, or not IG. You're a fan of DK. You're a fan of Orange. Who do you pick here?
It's hard for me to pick. I think I'm a bigger fan of DK as a team, but I'm a bigger fan of Orange as players and as people, because I've met them, I've seen them at LAN events in Southeast Asia, and there's some really nice guys. DK, I don't know them, but as a team, DK to me is like the quintessential Chinese team. They're the ones who dominated the scene back in like 2011, 2012, and back in Dota 1, and I have so much respect for these guys. I love DK as a team. Burning's a fantastic player. Super as a solo mid was one of the best in the world for a good year or so, and he's still up there, of course. His Kunka yesterday.
Right.
After that, I think I have to say I'd give a slight edge to DK as far as who I prefer to win.
Yeah, if this is a best-of-1 series, I'm going to be feeling a little bit safer betting on Orange, but given the fact that this is a best-of-3, their experience, the fact that they could always go deep in the tournament, the fact that they are, last place so far in the group stage, it doesn't matter at all. Sure, it's a bubble race. They have to win a lot of matches, especially when you're thinking of the first best of 3, the second best of 3, the third best of 3. They're going to be playing 6, 7, 8, 9 game, and they're going to be very grueling. But if there's one team that would bet money to actually go all the way, it's DK. So I think they could pass a hurdle that's known as Orange. Maybe it's a 2-0-1, maybe it's a 2-0, but I put money on DK here.
Yeah, I agree. And I definitely think if they do want to go the distance, you need to start winning 2-0, because if you have 3 best of 3s, you don't want to have long 3-game series against Orange. Yeah. You're versing LGD next, and LGD is a team who will take you 3 games and will take you 3 long games. I feel like every time LGD and DK have met, we've seen some 90-minute games in the past.
We have.
I still remember casting that 90-minute classic between the two. The Anti-Mage versus PL game, I believe it was, where it was Sylar Anti-Mage versus the Burning PL, and in the end, it was literally 90 minutes on the dot, where the Anti-Mage team beat the PL team. LGD won that game, and even aside from that, they've had some other 60-plus minute games, so DK need to win this 2-0 if they want to go all the distance. I feel like even if they get past LGD after that, they will just be so exhausted going in front of Alliance.
I'm not sure how much break time they have between. They want to keep the tournament short, but at the same time, you need to rest your players in between matches. So 2-1 for me. For the DK team, they want a good 2-0, but Orange, with the individual skills, if you snowball one lane, it's so easy for them to take a free game off of that.
And the way Orange drafts is that they will look to sort of have that snowballing hero, whether it's Mushi on something like Queen of Pain, maybe they pull out the Tinker in one of these games. They're a team who will get it, they'll have some smart, clever drafts planned. They know how DK plays. They played them quite a lot on big scale tournaments like on LAN, like in China, or even just in online tournaments. So I feel that DK is a team that needs to be careful, needs to be so disciplined here with their drafts and play if they want to go to 2-0, and I don't see them getting a 2-0 much like yourself.
Yep. So that's going to be our predictions. So,
well, here we can see actually the bit of the Chinese screen. The players, the teams being introduced. We've got some good old loader footage here going on.
Man, the Chinese love Loda.
It's
pretty insane. I think they love him more than a lot of their own players even.
Look at that LGD hair, man.
Yeah. That mane, that glorious Loda mane.
That's what I aspire to be.
Yeah, that's what you're working on. Nobody's giving you credit for it.
No, I know.
I give you credit.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate it.
Nobody else has hair in the studio. It makes me feel left out.
I mean,
God's with
some
you.
here.
We can actually get some audio in this interview, so maybe we can just cut over to that now, guys. We'll be back with Orange versus DK when that match is live, but for now, enjoy some Loader interview.
It would be the right choice. Not only the right choice because I like it, but also the right choice because I can use it. In Sweden, it's been growing quite rapidly. The way you view games, and I really know, I know that in 10, 15 years, I think computer games will be even bigger than normal sports, or just as big. And I think it's just a matter of time, and I think we can only win as a team.
The king is never lonely. We're creating a new era. I'm still here.
Maintain a gang climb. Blood is my name. Sword is my heart.
Put your team first. The team is the source of your pride.
By pushing others to the altar, you also become a column under the altar. Silence, dedication will never be forgotten. The achievements of others are my achievements.
I think all of the teams that have qualified for the LAN finals are really strong. It's going to be really difficult. I could see, it's really hard to know how well we're going to do. It could go pretty badly or it could go extremely well. I think our hardest opponent will be IG. It's definitely very difficult. At the top level, it's very difficult to be at the top if you're also studying, constantly having to worry about exams. So it's definitely hard to balance that. In terms of how much you can actually make playing and the cost of living, comparing those, it's a little bit harder, I think, in North America and Europe. It's my first time in China right now. So far it's been pretty good. Haven't been here that long, or we haven't had too much opportunity to go looking around. We've been kind of busy doing stuff for G-1 with going back to school. Just get a regular job, but as for expectations, I'd like to think that we'd be able to get maybe top 4 or top 3.
Don't underestimate my carry, or you will be carried into the abyss of suffering.
With hope as cavalry, experience as armor, and persistence to guide me.
The kind of tolerance called persistent, the kind of dormancy called unyieldingness.
Victory will never come to us. We must own to be victorious.
Be prepared. I'll meet you on the battlefield.
游戏人一直受到各种各样非议的目光，他们在社会各行各业中扮演着举足轻重的作用，在一个个家庭中也尽到了妇女妻儿应尽的义务。 他们一样为祖国喝彩，为奥运助威，为灾难祈福。他们在拼爹、房奴、拜金、机会不公、贫富分化、有毒食品等社会怪象中保持自我，兢兢业业，默默付出，却仅仅因为打开电脑，在虚拟世界的另外一端放飞自己的理想，就被当成堕落的一代，垮掉的一代。作为一个游戏人，我们痛苦过，迷茫过，期望过，也失望过，但我们从来没有放弃过。我们不断摔倒又不断站起，就是为了证明我们不是别人嘴里所说的暮气沉沉。我们不断受挫又不断战斗，我们其实并不奢望改变这个世界，我们是害怕世界改变了我们。梦想很小，小到我们一不小心就捉它不住；梦想也很大，大到我们的内心都装不下它。很庆幸我们还有梦想，这也是我们来到这里的原因。
今天我们用行动为自己证明，游戏人同样可以登上更高的历史舞台。113今天正式发起全球请愿行动，将电子竞技纳入奥运会比赛项目，在理解、公平、友谊、团结的竞争环境下，让更多的人知道我们的努力。小小的声音也能发挥出巨大的能量。电竞申号，我支持。
我支持，
我支持，
我支持，我支持，
我支持，
我支持，
我支持。
Orange, IG, LGD, DK, Alliance, Team Liquid, G-1, G-1! 喂。
Welcome everybody to the first match of the playoffs for the G1 League LAN Finals. We are here with Orange versus DK, and here we have it. Team Orange being introduced. We've just seen the DK players over there in China, in Shanghai, competing for $65,000. I'm Gods, joining me as Luminous for our opening playoffs match. Winner of this gets, well, guaranteed top 3. Loser of it, knocked out, 4th place. Still a decent bit of money, but we're going to both these two teams do want to move forward.
I guarantee you that both these teams sitting right now, even they're the lowest part of the bubble race, they're going for the whole way. They're not here to win a match, to get some cash. They're not here to get a second place to Alliance or whoever. They're here to win the whole thing. And the first step is a very, very strong team each another way. Now, the big difference between today's matches, as well as compared to what we've seen so far, is that today's matches is going to be a best of 3. And it's going to be a best of 3 throughout, all the way to the grand final. And it's going to be a very, very tough race. DK is going to be opening up here on the Radiant side.
Well, as quickly do need to reconnect to the game. Hopefully no problems here. We are playing on that Perfect World server. For those of you watching in Dota TV who sort of mentioned that There's been some issues with the Dota TV audio not always being perfect. It's because of these perfect world
Because
servers.
we're on perfect world server.
We're in LA, they're in China on Chinese servers. Firewall issues do happen, but you can see here the live event going on. We're actually back in the game now. DK, they're playing over on the Radiant side, up against Orange on the Dire side. Best of 3. That's the big thing you mentioned. No more shenanigans, no more sneaky level 1 Roshan strats to sort of look to get an early game advantage. DK, first pick lone druid, no surprises whatsoever, and this is a hero which Orange are going to have their work cut out for them as far as shutting down.
Yeah, one thing that Ali and I were kind of talking about yesterday, seeing the Chinese lone druid, is that despite the fact they don't really know these cutesy tricks in terms of pulling multiple creep waves and kind of running back and forth, we've shown that the Chinese lone druid is probably one of the best micro lone druid in the world. They get their farm very, very quick, and they just know where they need to be in terms of timing of their attacks, as well as how to get to that timing of the attack. But DK is going to be picking up Juggernaut and Visage. We've seen what Visage could do multiple times.
Visage is new tier 1 support.
Yeah,
it
really is. Which we'll get into in a little bit of comparison between like Rubik and Shadow Demon, but we haven't seen Juggernaut at all lately. Generally being banned out or somewhat forgotten.
There's been a couple. I'd say he normally gets banned in the second stage because teams will pick up their key support, their key farmer, and then second stage ban is Juggernaut because teams don't want to have to go up against him. Like he's sort of like a lifestealer replacement.
But today we're going to see the Juggernaut pickups quite early. The healing ward is going to be a big part. Now I'm going to be looking towards Orange Esport, picking up a couple of heroes that could deal with the ward. Generally it's going to be micro, very far back. And to get to the healing ward, you're running past the bear. You're running past, I imagine, what to becoming a ton of AoE spells, and more importantly, the 2 familiar suns as well. So it's going to be somewhat tough for Orange to defend against a siege, unless they're going to be picking up certain heroes that could disable the bear for a long duration, whether it's a Bane, whether it's going to be a Rubik, maybe Telekinesis Rift. They have to deal with either the bear or the ward or both, and it's going to be tough to do so.
Yeah, and Juggernaut, if you're looking to sort of spam from some distance or even just initiate on him, the spin is so good against a Nyx Assassin. I mean, the Carapace as well as Impale can be dodged. Gyrocopter, a lot of his damage can be negated. And Orange, well, insider information, KYXY was just playing a game against bots like 20 minutes ago while they were warming up. He was in a bot game up against playing Clockwork. So
practicing them assets?
Well, I don't know, but I was actually commenting because Blitz was over there on the analyst panel saying, man, you're getting some insane information. Orange going to pick Clockwork. I'm like, well, I don't know. Orange never pick Clockwork. This is not a hero that they're sort of known for or that they often put in their drafts, but they obviously had a plan. They had this planned out that they were going to quite likely play Clockwork because KYXY, he was playing it versus bots.
Yeah, Clockworks is not that bad against particularly Juggernaut. You kind of take away some of those magical immunity. Being able to push him away is good. I guess the fact that you could hook in and then kill that healing lord, maybe that's an answer, though not something you could really rely upon. The cogs will be really good against Lone Druid Bear, though. You walk up sort of close to the bear, you drop the cogs, you should push him back a little bit. It gives you a little bit of kind of a longer longevity for your towers to stay alive. But it's not an answer, and Orange Esports got to remedy that. There's an Earthshaker ban being taken out of the pool, which brings up a smile to my face, because as Visage is rising back up top as a top tier support, I guess Earthshaker is kind of a second tier support, kind of resurging.
Much better than a forgotten support, which I love this series. It's a lot of fun. He's got some really cool sort of strategical implications, and I think the big thing with Orange's pick series is I think they want to go super aggressive. I think they decided they're not going to sit back, play a farming game against DK. It's actually how they lost against Alliance. They had a decent early game start, but then they got back, set back, and ended up in this farming-oriented style of play, and late game Alliance just had more efficient farming heroes, better late game heroes, and just beat them in that. So Orange, Clockwork with an early start can be very aggressive, set up a lot of kills. They've got the Nyx Assassin, probably a full position hero. Gyrocopter as a carry can go for early game items, be it BKB, Drum of Endurance, and all you really need is some kind of a solo mid which can snowball out of control, a Parker, Queen of Pain, something like a Templar Assassin even, and you can look to just overwhelm DK, and I feel like that's going to be, if Orange win a game, that's how I see it happening. They get an early game lead and just get out of control. Any game which stays even for the first 25-30 minutes, I give DK an edge.
Yeah, they are just so good in the late game. They are experienced playing 4 Protect 1. Even though they haven't been doing that lately, the late game decisions you make as a 4 Protect 1 team, not to get pickoff, saving buybacks, those are decisions that win you the long game, and I agree with Gots here. If the game goes long, I'm going to favor DK. We talked about how DK is going to be under a lot of early game pressure. I feel like their heroes are very good dealing with that. Visage, fairly tanky early on with that early point of Gravekeeper Cloak. The early Grave Chill access allows them to get away from most ganks. Juggernaut Spin could get away from most ganks. And of course, Lone Druid. We saw the Bear Migros coming out from Sylar yesterday. And of course, once you get level 6 with Lone Druid, he's almost unkillable unless you stick 3 or 4 heroes on him. And now a Rubik,
yeah,
a
Rubik
hero that
comes-
tends to stay back, and Dai plays it almost spectacularly. So I feel like DK's lineup is almost perfect in terms of staving off any type of early game aggression.
And another hero which they use, which we'll talk about earlier in the pregame, Kunkka. If they want to have that as their solo mid, put it on super. There's another hero which makes them even harder to kill. You chuck the boat at that. Coco's Rum makes you almost unkillable. Great sort of counter-initiator for a Clockwork when you can just chuck the torrent from afar. And that's something which maybe DK looked around their lineup of in that solo mid, because Beastmaster got banned out, who's sort of a similar role to the Kunkka. Kunkka just offers something a bit better, as we will see Orange. So they've got 2 more picks. Where, well, there we go. They get the Extinct Chen. Where do you think they go with their last pick? Most likely as some sort of a solo mid.
I think it's gonna be the Kunkka. If you look at Orange's ban here, they want to take out heroes that have long range casting disables, or instant cast disables. Sand King, Shaker, Beastmaster Roar. These are spells that could kind of aid allies from very far away. Kunkka does something similar with a torrent, and more importantly, the bolt applying that Coco Rum, allowing the allies to kind of regen a little bit of HP under that healing ward. It will surprise me greatly if it's not a Kunkka. I guess Queen of Pain is okay, but it's really not too good against some of these heroes like Clockwork and Nyx Assassin. Maybe they won't pick Kunkka if they're really afraid of the Mana Burn. DK is not bad. DK is like a mini Beastmaster in the sense of the Dragon Tail. It gives you some much added benefits of damage later on. It gives you some good frontline tank. And if you look at the front tank lineup here for DK, you have the Bear in front, you have the Juggernaut in front, you have the Dragon Knight in front with the Healing Ward backup. How do you actually kill this lineup? I mean, you have Nyx Assassin, Clockwork, and Chen. These are not exactly high damage heroes. So Gyrocopter have to do a ton of heavy lifting, or their last pickup is going to have to do a ton of damage. And they just don't know what hero left in the pool right now. They could basically deal with all 3 of these very, very tanky frontliners.
Yeah, maybe they even think about sending Nyx Assassin to the mid lane here if they're happy with him as a solo mid, but Orange, they need to get aggressive, and I feel this is where you just look towards that Queen of Pain maybe for Mushi, although he's actually was playing the Gyrocopter yesterday. It was KYXY swinging over to that Queen of Pain when they had it in the mid lane, but for DK, picking the DK up, that's going to get confusing sometime. Yeah, I definitely agree. It's going to be a strong, stable solo mid hero, something like a replacement Beastmaster with the DK, with the long range stun. But most importantly, it provides some additional AOE, which is something which Kunkka isn't great for. Torrent isn't really a spammable AOE nuke, and if you're worried about Orange pushing, which as soon as they see that Chen pick up, they're probably a little worried about early towers going down. Having the Breath of Fire is a useful spell to sort of prevent those pushes and stall them. Combine that with the Fade Bolt, and you're clearing creep waves very fast.
I wonder if Orange is going to pick into Shadow Fiend here. In fact, a solo mid Shadow Fiend, because first of all, give you a ton of physical damage output. The minus armor is really actually helpful against all 5 of these heroes. They're going to go with the Nature's Prophet, so who's actually going mid? Is it going to be a Nyx Assassin mid?
I think it will be Nature's Prophet. I don't think Nyx Assassin's still a support. It's either Clockwork mid or the Nature's Prophet mid, and I think Clockwork mid with Nature's Prophet as a side lane solo.
Well, Ohio's going to be playing Nature's Prophet, and he's generally the long lane player for the team, unless I'm
Ohio normally the solo mid, but Orange are a team who rotate their lanes and their players a lot depending on the hero picks. As hopefully we don't have too many more connections problems, but may actually be.
Are we disconnecting here?
Oh, me and you both. Me and you both.
If you could check over.
Right, we can reconnect back into the game. Hopefully nothing too problematic here. As I'll just quickly pop back in. We've had no problems the last 2 days, guys. So fingers crossed, everything.
Well, actually, yesterday I was losing certain frames of animation. Yeah, it was a little bit annoying, but there was one team fight where I actually disconnected throughout the middle of the team fight, and Aoi had to cast in the middle of the team fight. Some good play-by-play by Aoi, so credit to him. But we're back in the game. Looks like we're loaded in, and it's going to be Visage being handled by QQQ. MMY or Die is going to be playing Rubik. We have ROTK playing the Juggernaut. Super is going to be going solo mid with the Dragon Knight, and last but not least, Burning will be playing the Lone Druid. Nothing surprising coming out here of the DK lineup.
Nothing at all. As far as Orange are concerned, we do have Mushi playing the Gyrocopter, Net, the support player on that Nyx Assassin, Extinct, without a doubt, going to be playing that Chen. KYXY on Clockwork. He is going to be soloing that middle lane based on his item build, and then that leaves Ohio to play Nature's Prophet. Looks like he's going safe lane solo of everything. So offensive tri-lane with a Nyx Chen. This is risky, I'd say. There's Nyx Assassin, not the best offensive tri-lane support, and Chen, you've got to get in the jungle, you've got to get a creep, and nowhere near comparable to something like an Enchantress, because you can only have that one early game creep.
It's not the strongest tri-lane ever, but you gotta keep in mind that you have global presence from the Clockwork himself with the Rocket, but more importantly, you also have it from the Nature's Prophet. So the blink of eye, they could have a ton of heroes on the bot lane and make ganking a lot easier.
Stuff freezing up. It's not just that, Vlad just disconnects as well, so it looks like some problems all around on the Perfect World server.
Well, I guess I'm not sure if they're gonna be disconnecting as well. I mean,
It seems the players are fine.
yeah, if the players are fine and the game will just be played underway, we might actually have to cast this from Dota TV.
Yeah, Dota TV. Hopefully, no problems with Dota TV. If we can't actually say live in the game on the Perfect World server, Dota TV I think is on our local server. So, without a doubt, guys, we'll find some way to try to get you into the game. As I'll quickly reconnect once more. Do apologize. Nothing out of control. We can cast off the TV, man. We could be like the weather casters,
There
like
you go.
drawing lines and fingers and stuff.
Oh,
on here.
I want to do this. BTS.
No, it's G1, man. We're
Oh,
gonna do
G1. IG. Team. Okay. All right, we're done. All right, it's gonna be the pickup here. People are picking their heroes. We've kind of gone over this.
Yeah, no, we were a good minute and a half, 2 minutes delay, but we'll reconnect into this game. May actually try turn off our VPN here for a bit, but hopefully stuff gets sorted.
So, we see Mushi play like Gyro Cup 3 or 4 times this tournament. They played it once against Alliance.
Has he won yet with it?
The games that they won was, I think, against LGD, was it? One of the Chinese, or IG. IG was one of the teams that lost to Mushi's Gyrocopter, but I think it was mostly due to IG's poor play.
All right, we're back in the game, Lumi. At least one of us is. So you
okay,
can,
well,
you
just
can
cast off your monitor, no problem.
do some over-the-shoulder casting here if need be. As Jarrett fills me up. That's okay. You guys can't see me on stream, but our producer Kawa here, who's done a great job all week, is just filling me up from behind.
Who doesn't want to feel you up from behind?
I know. Well, DK, offensive trialing of their own, so it's going to be both teams going offensive trialing. We saw Sylar deal with some offensive trialing stuff fantastically as a lone druid yesterday. Can Burning do the same here? He's going to be in for a bit of trouble. Actually, early level 1 smoke. They're going mid? Maybe they need a Chen creep.
No, you just right-click, I guess. I mean,
level 1 test of faith? No, holy persuasion.
if you get those cogs, that's 5 seconds of disables.
This is just to get to the enemy jungle without being seen, because there's a Radiant Ward. Almost always, 9 times out of 10, there'll be one near this bottom river. So they get a creep, guaranteed. Then they can gank mid. They don't really need the smoke to gank mid, because the tower will reveal them from smoke anyways. And they'll come out of fog.
It really just comes down to whether they actually get that cogs on the mid lane. If you trap the DK in, that's a free kill. But looks like they're going to be rotating with the same creep. If you see a creep just moving across the map by himself, you
TP's
kind of get an
coming
idea.
bottom.
There's a TP coming in. That's going to be from MMY as well. It's going to be from Visage. So they do know exactly what's up in the jungle. They will not leave Burning here by himself.
Yeah.
And can you gank into this formation from DK?
Not a chance. Rubik Telekinesis, great sort of counter initiation spell, and Orange will see this and they'll just start farming the jungle, which I think is the right call. Get a level or 2 in the jungle, get some farm, and then look to maybe even gank mid lane. The problem is Mushi can't really stay in this off lane by himself. He's going to get put under a lot of pressure here, and well, I think the main thing is here, DK just want to find the exact positioning
QQQ is
of
going to be
Chen.
walking the jungle. He sees an entire army of Chen creeps, and he will back off.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to talk a little bit about QQQ's level 1 skill build. Generally, as a Visage, you don't want to skill your level 1 skill. He was an offensive trialing where having soul assumption is really, really powerful. But the fact that now his teleport here and is playing in a more defensive posture, having a slow is a lot more useful. So
at the same time, he's not going to use any mana before he hits level 2. He's going to hit level 2.
That's fair, but if the dive came, you really would have won Grave Chill. So it's one of those small instances where you say, hey, let's not skill my first spell until I actually need it. It won't end up actually doing anything here. No, not a big deal, but just something to keep in mind here at home.
Both teams dewarding, so the ward behind tower gets dewarded, the ward at the bottom river gets dewarded by Orange, so early sentry wards on both sides. I think the big thing is here, Orange maybe going to want to block this pool, because this pool camp, if a DK start using that, can deny a lot of farm and XP from Orange. Where is Mushi? Okay, Mushi's actually picked up an Invis rune. He's scouting things out behind tower. You can't do that. They just put a sentry there. Mushi, I think he actually forgot a bit. As now that we reconnect in the game, I'll remember to put up my CS charts this time. As Super, he's mid. He actually goes for he's got bottle as well as magic stick at mid lane. So mid lane, you imagine they'll pretty much break even as far as farm goes.
Yeah, I feel like the goal is going to benefit Dragon Knight a little bit more, especially the way that the Chinese has been playing the DK. It's a lot more utility-based, so getting these kind of key early game item is a very big deal. Nice cog here from KYXY. That's exactly what you do want in the mid lane. Either trap him in when you have supports coming in, or when you don't, you just kind of push him back and burn the farming capability off that DK's Flame Breath. So, fairly nicely
And
played.
something which KYXY hasn't done, which the solo mid Clockworks, be it CTY or Zhao 8 we saw yesterday, is max battery assault, especially against other melee heroes. Clockwork versus Mag, you max battery assault right off the bat. KYXY is going for rockets, which is not going to win you the lane. It's the max battery assault that can win you this lane.
Well, looks like we have the support coming in from the Orange. Normally, I would say, yeah, you got to go with the max battery assault, but I feel like the way that Orange has this draft coming out, the fact that they have an early game profit getting a level up top, The fact that they are kind of roaming all over the map. Maximum Rocket might not be bad. I talked about their kind of the semi-global presence of these two heroes. So maybe that's what they're going for. QQQ is going to get found in the jungle, and we're going to see a net follow. Dude, where's the net? Looks like they're going to be just harassing a little bit. Now net actually is going to be going backwards.
I don't think you want to send that creep in, because if it gets hit once, it's
Well,
feeding free gold.
It might actually be a little bit free gold. Fable. Yep.
Oh, nice.
MMY is going to take that
That's
one.
a decent amount of gold and XP. That's a useful pickup for a DK support here.
Yeah, actually, kind of a questionable play coming out from Extinct as well. If you look at the high-level neutral camp behind in the Radiant jungle, they grabbed the creep very